Welcome to Conscious Co-Creations. Here I talk about business and spirit. I'm really happy today because today I'm going to be talking with Elizabeth Hartigan. And we just had the holidays and we're having a wonderful conversation about gratitude. And she is known as the Gratitude Girl. So welcome, Elizabeth.
Thank you. I'm grateful to be here.
And don't you think that after the holidays, a wonderful conversation about gratitude would be a great conversation to have?
Absolutely.
So why don't you share with us a little bit how you became to be known as the Gratitude Girl?
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me here. So I would like to say gratitude found me. About 12 years ago, I found a lump in my neck. And the moment I found it, I knew something was really wrong. And so I went to the doctor, and it was confirmed with blood tests and blood work that I had cancer. And in that moment, everything changed. And I began to start seeing life through new eyes, through a new light. And so I really went within and decided what was mine to do, because I knew it wasn't mine to do traditional treatment. And so I went within and I prayed and I prayed and I prayed. And I woke up 3:03 in the morning and I got a really clear message. And it was time to change my mindset and time to really start working and focusing on me and started taking baths, because that's what the voice told me to do, was to take baths and to begin to see things differently. So in the bathtub, you get bored. After bath, after bath, after bath, you get kind of bored. And I realized, well, what could I do in here that's going to be helpful, to help me out? And so I began literally looking at my toes and at my feet and saying, I'm grateful for my feet because I can hop and I can skip and I can jump and I can run. And I'm grateful for my legs because they can carry me anywhere I want to go. I'm grateful for my hands and for all the things that they can do. And to begin for the first time to love me and appreciate me. And very quickly, after about 40 days, the lump in my neck completely disappeared and vanished. And I went back to the doctor, and it was confirmed that I was completely cancer-free. And I learned if we could do that with our mind, if we could change our vibration in our body and heal, what else could we do? And so it became at first an experiment in my own life. And I didn't realize it was here to bless others. But over time, it became very clear that if I could do this, we could all do this. And we can do it at home, exactly where we're at, no matter what we're going through. The story's not about cancer. It's about what block, is each person going through, and how can they begin to heal their own life.
Now, I also know that you're a wonderful author. So I'd love for you to actually share about the title of your book, and also what is inspiration behind your book.
Thank you. So my first book is a guided gratitude journal, and it's called What Are You Grateful For Today? And it's all about celebrating the beauty and the magnificence that surrounds you. And so it's got 60 days of guided gratitude prompts to help you to see the good around you. So one of my favorites is I'm grateful for my body, for it is the vehicle for which I express life itself. Because so often we forget to be grateful for us, right? We're grateful for outside extremities or other people. But when we can begin to be grateful for us, our life shifts.
And that's such an important thing. I actually, like what I do with my clients is I make them actually, before they go to bed, is write down 5 things they're grateful for. And I explain to them the significance of writing, because writing engages the entire physiology of their body. And when we wake up in the morning and have them read out loud what they wrote, the night before. And also explain to them that when they write before they go to bed, it's working on the unconscious mind. And when they're reading it out loud, they're actually working on their conscious mindset. And if they do this for 30 days, they actually start to reprogram, rewire their negativity. Because a lot of people are so set in their negativity mindset that the gratitude journals really start to work on their positive mindsets. And I think a lot of people, like you said, we're so focused on others. Working on our gratitude journal start to work on ourselves and what we're grateful for. And the funny thing is the bridging, it's like when we're starting to work on our gratitude journals, it actually starts to work on both ends. We start working on ourselves, but in the process of being gratitude for ourselves, we start actually seeing what we're also gratitude for outside of ourselves. Do you find that?
Absolutely. And I think it's like a muscle. The more we use it, like if you go to the gym and you start lifting weights, at first it's hard, and then eventually it becomes very easy. And so you begin to really start to see things that you're grateful for everywhere. I can sit in a new space or a new room, and if I've got a few minutes to kill, I'll think, gosh, I'm grateful for whoever laid this tile or this carpet or who painted the walls or who made that picture. And so it's a totally different experience of life that was always here and always around us. But life becomes much sweeter when we begin to see all the things around us that bless our lives every day.
And then don't you see that it becomes like a minutia of the layers? You start looking at the wall and then the paint. It's like who actually created the paint? Who thought of the color of the paint? And then you look at the manufacturers, and then all the layers even beyond that. The soil, who planted the plants in the soil, and the workers who actually planted the plants in the soil. It's like you can actually go layers deep. And I don't think anyone actually really starts to do that unless you're sitting still enough.
Right.
We have that time. And that's the funny part. When we do get ill or we have something that makes us stop, we have all that time to just think and be. Like you said, you got cancer, right? And you have that time to be in the baths. And you start thinking about your toes and then your feet and then your legs, right? We have that time to be still, that we start actually really to think. And I think I really, like, for one of my things I think I'd like to put out there to people is really to find that time to be still, to silence our minds so we actually get to think in that way. And just to have that little bit of space. We're not constantly checking our iPhones, constantly checking our emails, constantly, in technology world, that we have a little bit of that stillness just to be.
Mm-hmm. I want to actually show you my wall behind me. It's going to be so perfect for what it says. I hope you can see it. It says "Be still and know," and I don't know if you can see it.
I saw the "and know." I didn't get to see the above part.
So this is my meditation.
Totally appreciate that, though.
Yeah, because we so forget. We're so busy of our to-dos and our next appointments. If we can get just even 15 minutes to just be still and listen, we get divine answers all the time. We're just not listening.
And I'd love for you to share, we were talking about where you were going next when you have to leave this interview that we're doing. And I'm a Reiki master, and you're going someplace to actually work on someone. So what does that mean to you? I mean, I know what a Reiki master is, and I know you do Reiki. So what have you found diving into energy? So you were talking about how can gratitude shift someone's energy, one of the questions. And so what I would like to ask you, because a lot of people not everybody knows what Reiki is. What does Reiki mean to you? What has Reiki actually done for you, for yourself? And how have you seen that Reiki has shifted others, the people you work on?
Absolutely. So for me, it was the validation of even understanding we're all energy, right? And so after healing myself of cancer, I was sharing the story in a class, and someone came up to me as a Reiki master and said, "You're a natural healer, and I want to teach you Reiki." And I was like, "Oh, that was just once. It just happened," and didn't really even understand what it was. And so I started taking the classes and could feel. The first time I did it, could feel the energy, could feel the vibration. And so for me, it's really about aligning ourselves to connection, to source, to the divine, to God, whatever you call that which is, and about allowing that to flow in, through, and as us. So in my own world, it has cured me from migraines. It's helped my husband, who had major pains from doing landscaping one year. He pulled, I believe it was kind of like a hernia, and he kept going to the doctor, and they couldn't figure out what was wrong. And all they wanted to do was give him painkillers. And so I said, I know this is a little woo-woo to you because it was different for him, but let's just try. And sure enough, he felt like little soldiers or people were moving around in his body, is what he explained. One session, he's never had pain since. And so it's not of me, but through me. I believe it's allowing to be a vessel, to allow that energy to flow in, through, and as me. And I can't give it without receiving it. So every time I give Reiki, one, I know it blesses others, but it also blesses me and helps heal my own body and my own thoughts, because it's about healing of a mind, body, and spirit. So it's not taking pills when we have an issue, but it's about getting to the root cause and allowing that healing to take place. That's what it is for me.
And how do you see working like with clients? How do you describe to your clients, I'm going to be doing Reiki on you, or what is Reiki to them? You know what I'm saying? How do you? Because for me, it's always, again, this show is about us reaching out to others. So how would you describe Reiki, to others, or how do you? You know what I'm saying? What word did you use to describe Reiki to others?
So what I use is that in the work I do actually a hands-on Reiki, so that it is physical touch, but it's a light physical touch to realign your energy, to clear your chakras, and to realign you to the source. So I have some people that will come when they actually have a physical ailment that needs healing, And some people are just coming for a sense of relaxation and to be recentered. I've had people come before they write their first book and say, I really just want to get grounded and centered. And it's a great way to do it. In an hour, you can totally feel more at peace, more calm, more centered, and change your mindset.
One of the terminologies that I love is, as you know, the show that we're doing right now is conscious co-creations, right? Conscious co-creations means a lot to me. And I know that you're all about consciously creating. Yeah. So what does consciously creating mean to you?
So I believe we're all creating every day, but how consciously are we creating? So if we're continually getting the same result or the same circumstance and we're not happy with it, often we'll think, why me? Why is this happening to me? Instead of saying, okay, I don't like this result, I'm going to create something different. So today, if we're not happy with, let's say, our weight, we could continue to keep eating the same food, right? And say, well, why am I overweight? And I've done this. So this is one that's really in alignment to me. Or finally getting clear and saying, I don't like how I feel. What if I made new choices? What if I consciously chose what food would bless my body today? What food would make me feel good? And by making those simple choices consciously, we consciously co-create our life.
And I always love, for me, it's like you said, I always tell my clients, I can give you all the tools in the world, but I also need you to meet me halfway. So you're not willing to co-create with me, we may not be the best match because I can't do all the work for you. I can consciously co-create with you. However, I can't do it all for you. So for me, it is always about consciously co-creating with my clients. Yes. It's always about, again, co-creation, collaborating, teamwork. These are all words I'm constantly, putting out there to the universe and to my clients, and also consciously putting out those words so that the universe knows that the clients that I'm choosing to attract to me are clients that do want to co-create with me, that do want to work with me. So, exactly. And I think part of the show about gratitude and consciousness and co-creating is putting out there again to people to understand that as you say, we're all creating at all times. Mm-hmm. And every word that we say, ideas, creativity, business, prayer, whatever words we want to use, everything that we do, say, walk, talk is creating of some kind. Wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Our thoughts, our actions, our words, all of it's creating. But when we get clear on what are we thinking, how can we shift those thoughts, how can we shift the words we speak, that's when we become conscious and consciously create.
Now, how can people find you? This is also a podcast, not just a video show, but how can people find you via internet? Like, what would be your websites and how people can find you?
Thank you for asking. So my website is easy. It's www.thegratitudegirl.com. On Facebook, I'm The Gratitude Girl. And I also have a Twitter page, The Gratitude Girl. So I've tried to make it easy. If you can just remember The Gratitude Girl, and even if you typed in Gratitude Girl, it'll come back to my page. So pretty easy. And it's all about, again, consciously shifting our thoughts. So it's about keeping us centered in gratitude. I believe when we raise our vibration to either love or gratitude, we naturally attract and create what we want because we're coming from a different space.
Beautiful. I also need to let everybody know that we are on intentionradio.com, so please make sure you do go check out www.intentionradio.com, and also please go check out theintentioncall.com. Every Saturday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, they get together and they have a beautiful intention where they actually meditate and prayer upon something that they choose, whether it could be world issue or something that they find that they see somewhere that needs a group prayer meditation. So please go check them out, theintentioncall.com. And we are going to continue this call and this video with and more information about gratitude, which I love this perfect timing after the holidays to have this show. So I would love for you to continue some more conversations about gratitude. And also, I do want you to let us know, I know that you have a new book coming out. So please talk about your new book that's coming out.
I'd love to. So my new book is called Consciously Creating Your Life, and it is what I would call a playbook. And it's taking action steps to consciously co-create. So it's got within it a vision book where you can actually put in your pictures and what you're wanting to create. And then it takes it in through journaling so that you can feel it. You feel that energy, so you're writing it. And it also takes you into visualizing. So it's all the different processes to help to bring your dreams into reality. And I did it as a playbook so that people can carry it with them. It's portable. It can fit in your purse or your backpack and take it with you, and also be that reminder when we're sitting there, when we have that extra free time, right? We're at an appointment or at a meeting and we're running early. You can pull out those images and be reminded of what we're wanting to attract and create in our own lives.
Ooh, so this sounds like a portable vision board, if you will.
Yes, that's one aspect of it. Yes.
Ooh, that sounds really wonderful. And so where is that going to be? Is that going to be on Amazon or on your website? Where is that going to be?
On my website. It launches in January, and you can get it at my website. And then we're also going to have it in different stores. I have a whole listing of stores throughout California, South Carolina, and Arizona currently who are carrying my books.
Oh, that's wonderful. I can't wait for that to come out. I'll be very excited to see that. So I also love to, for people that are always looking for tips, so what are some tips that we could put out for the audience to give them some insights? So how would they start to consciously be in gratitude?
It's a good question. So really it's about starting where you're at right now in this moment. There's nothing special that you have to learn or do. If you have a notebook or a book, you can start as simple as a spiral notebook. But it's about looking around. Think about the room that you're in. Whatever room you're in, look around it for a second. And notice the beauty that's around you. You have beautiful paintings or artwork. You have beautiful scriptures or poetry or books around you. Start noticing that. Look at the people in your life. How are you grateful for them? So often we focus on a relationship that maybe isn't working as well. And so when that happens, we'll focus on what's wrong rather than what's right. And a great way to shift our relationships is to start each day, 5 things a day. What are you grateful for about that person? So if you're having any conflict in your life, I encourage you to start doing that today. And even if you don't have any conflict in your life, if you want to deepen a relationship, your spouse or your best friend or partner, start acknowledging what you're grateful for about that person. And pretty soon you begin to see more and more and more things to be grateful for. And then your dynamics change, because when we show up differently, people show up differently. So it's not about changing them, but it's about changing us. And when we come from a different vibration, I've learned our relationships shift. And it's a great way just to help bless not only our lives, but the people around us. And then to take it one step further, tell the people you love them. So often we take each other for granted. We've maybe been married 20 years and we forget to say, I'm really grateful for you today. Thank you for taking out the laundry or doing the dishes or taking out the garbage, all those simple things that we take for granted. But we really are grateful, because if they didn't do those things, and if we didn't do them, we'd have piles and mounds of garbage in our kitchen. So it is little things that we can be grateful for right now. And then the last thing would be, how can you be grateful for your health? No matter what you're going through, no matter what challenge that you have today, you are radiant and you are healthy and you are whole. How can you tap into that divine healing source that is within you and start to be grateful for your body, all of it, imperfections at all?
And I think that's very beautifully stated. And as a matter of fact, it's very poignant that we're actually is talking about this. Actually, Bob Berg, who's a brilliant author, actually did a post today about, are we looking for fault in people, or are we looking for the good in people? And as you said, we can always find fault in things. So what are we choosing to look for? Because if you're going to look for fault in people, guess what? You're going to find it. If we're looking for the beauty in people, we're going to find the beauty. Absolutely. So, I mean, there's no one that's 100% beautiful, and everybody has flaws, right? And what are we choosing to focus on? Because what we choose to focus on is going to expand, if you will. And if you're going to focus on that, that's what we're actually going to bring out, as you said. So, and exactly what you said is how we show up brings out in the other.
Right.
So when we're negative, the other person is going to be defensive, and they're going to be negative. Right. No different than if we're walking down the street, and if the other person has a frown on their face, if we smile, you'd be surprised how the other person's physiology changes, and they're going to smile back, even if they had a frown prior.
Absolutely.
Right? So how we show up impacts the other person. If we're cranky, we're going to make the other person cranky. So what are we choosing to focus on? And how do we choose to show up?
Absolutely. And know that we have the ability to show up differently, even if they show up cranky. We don't have to.
Exactly. You don't have to buy into their story.
Right. We can choose to raise our vibration, which in turn will raise theirs too. But we're really doing it for our own life, because when we come from a place of crankiness or angriness or sadness, we can't create. We can't create the life we want. And so it's in our own best interest, as well as those around us, to do our best to come from that vibration of love and gratitude, even when it's hard, even when it's a struggle, even when someone pushes our buttons. It really does impact the lives of those around you.
Now, some people will take what we're talking about and saying it's woo-woo, and that we're just burying our heads in the sand by being positive. I mean, there's a two-edged side. I'm not saying that we're to ignore someone's behavior. You can talk to someone about their behavior and say, hey, you know, your behavior is actually bringing down the rest of the household. You know, let's talk about what you're going through and how can we help you shift your attitude. I mean, you know, there are ways to have conversations with people.
Absolutely.
It doesn't mean you have to let people actually get away with their behavior either.
No.
There are ways to have a conversation and talk to people and say, hey, you know, your behavior isn't necessarily appropriate. That doesn't mean that we have to stoop down to their level either by yelling at them and beating them up and saying they're bad and all these things. I mean, there are tools to handle these things. Right. However, it doesn't mean that, you know, we have to succumb to the behavior either. So, I mean, I think there's amazing tools out there on how to deal with these things. At the same time, yes, we can still be positive and smile and all that and not go to that place. And if something's out of control, obviously have the conversation.
And from a loving space. If you're
Exactly. Come from a very loving space. Obviously, if someone's having a problem, you actually say that. We're only having this conversation because we love you and we care about you. And that's why we're having this conversation. We hate to see you in this state. We don't want to see you sad. We don't want to see you, you know, whatever that conversation is.
That makes sense. And it'll be received differently compared to coming up and saying, you make me angry, you make me feel bad, you make everyone sad. It now just causes more tension and more anger. So coming from a place of love and how can we help you is a totally different conversation.
Exactly. That's the thing. I think it's very different than saying, oh, you're being Pollyanna, oh, you're just, you know, have the rose-colored sunglasses on, right? Then just basically ignoring a situation. You can't ignore a situation when it's kind of like the elephants in the room. Okay, don't think of the pink elephant. Right. What do you think? You automatically think of the pink elephant because you said the word pink elephant, right? So, I mean, there's a difference between just ignoring a situation and having a conversation about a situation.
Very true.
It's all the delivery of the conversation, how you actually choose to have the conversation.
And the intention. Like, I believe that's the
Exactly.
biggest key is if we set our intention before we have the conversation, our intention is to be of healing and to be of love and of connection, you're going to have a different outcome.
Now, you just said two very key words here. She just said intention and outcome. Intention is vital. What is your intention? Is your intention to beat someone up, or is your intention to help? Right. Is your intention coming from a loving space, or is your intention coming from a harming place? And do you know what your outcome is? What are you choosing to have the outcome be? Is your outcome choosing to have a loving, supportive outcome? Are you choosing to support this person and a loving outcome, or is your outcome just to shut the person up? Because if your outcome is just to shut the person up, that is not an intention loving. That's not a loving outcome. That is an outcome that you just want to shut the person up because they're annoying you. That is not a loving outcome. So yes, those two words are really important to know. Is what is your outcome and what is your intention? And the intention has to fit that outcome.
Right. They have to be a match.
They have to be a vibrational match.
Very true.
So that is really, I'm glad that you brought that up because that I think a lot of people do not think of those two things. Are they in alignment? Very, very important.
Very true.
So what else do you have going on right now?
Goodness, I have so much going on. I've just got asked to do a podcast where I'll be a gratitude expert.
Ooh.
And that on Positively Positive, which will start in January. And then I've been asked to be a part of a Law of Attraction tour. So I'll be touring with 3 other speakers, and we'll be sharing on, for me, it will be on vibration, how we can consciously create, and how to stay centered in gratitude. So I'm really looking forward to that, and it culminates on a cruise. So I'll have all those details coming up on my website. Very, very excited.
Ooh, that sounds a lot of fun. Cruises can be lots of fun.
Absolutely, especially when you bring people together who are all like minds, right?
Exactly. And that's a really great tool. If you're actually teaching about something that you love, and you have people that are of like-mindedness that actually love what you're talking about, that is a wonderful thing.
Yes. It's a win-win. Everybody's happy.
Yeah, exactly. And especially when you're speaking to an audience that is there to hear about something they love. There's nothing worse than speaking to an audience that is there and they're not really happy to be there. That is not a fun thing.
That would not be fun.
So how were your holidays, by the way?
Fantastic. We had a beautiful, nice, quiet Christmas. Just my husband and I and my puppy. So we celebrated, had a nice dinner, went to the movies, and then let my puppy open all his new presents. He's the most fun. So we wrap all his presents up, and he will play with babies for hours, just burp, 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 burp. So enjoying his day is a big piece.
Oh, that sounds fabulous. We actually had 2 puppies visiting for Christmas. And so that was, I swear to God, I think that was the most fun entertainment of the whole Christmas, because everybody was like, oh my God, watch the puppies. And we let them out in the yard, and they're running around laps around the yard. Everyone's go, seriously, everyone's standing at the back door watching them run laps, right? And then everyone took turns babysitting them in the house to make sure 2 of them didn't get in too much trouble. So it was like taking turns babysitting the puppies, and everyone's like, oh, let's love the puppy, let's pet this puppy, let's pet, so like it was like having 2 like little tiny children.
Yeah.
Literally like 2-year-olds, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So they wanted to get into everything. So I swear to God, that was more fun than having 2-year-olds around.
Oh.
And then we only had 1 baby, so it was kind of it was a handful between the baby that was not a baby but a 3-year-old. So the 3-year-old and the two puppies that were 2-year-olds. Literally at that age of 2-year-olds, they were still mouthing and everything. So yeah, it was quite fun.
Very fun.
I was really, really excited to have you on, because that was perfect timing to have right after Christmas. For those that celebrate Christmas. Yeah. It was just a perfect timing to have a gratitude conversation after such a blissful time of the holidays. How much more gratitude can you have after spending time with family and friends? And you can't go wrong having a conversation about gratitude right after the holidays.
No. And the truth is, you can choose to be grateful at any time. It doesn't have to be around a holiday.
And that's why I'm saying this, because I had a guest on about 3 months ago. Actually, no, sorry. At Thanksgiving, we did a pre-Thanksgiving gratitude show, and we were talking about that. Everyone was getting tired of all the commercials and commercials and commercials for the holidays. And so we did it for a pre-Thanksgiving episode. Mm-hmm. So I thought it'd be perfect to have you on after, like it was timing perfectly the way we worked out right after the holidays. And so one of the things I wanted to talk about with you is also tying into the fact that it doesn't just have to be for the holidays.
Right.
How do we get people to understand this isn't about Thanksgiving, it's not just about Christmas or the holidays. Mm-hmm. How do we get people to understand that gratitude is important to have 365 days a year?
Right. Because it's not about a holiday. We think of it on Thanksgiving, right? That's the day everyone's like, I'm grateful. But what if you could carry that energy? Think of how that feels, that vibration of when you share with people, your family and your loved ones during a holiday, what you're grateful for. What if you did that every day? What if you could create that magic day after day after day after day? And that's what I believe really creates a different life. I mean, for me, it found me. I truly didn't go looking for it. I was faced with the idea of you might die, and lost 2 grandparents to cancer, and my mom had it when I was 5. And so for me, cancer meant death. And so I really began to see the world differently and say, well, what if I didn't get to see this 10 years from now? What if I never get to see a Christmas again? And so it was all those pieces of that we take for granted, the people, the circumstances, the beauty around us, because we never know how much longer we have. We're all given a life, but we don't know how long that is. What if we miss so much of it because we aren't open to seeing it? If we're focused on what's wrong rather than what's right, we're missing out on 90% of our lives.
Ooh, I hear a puppy.
Yeah, my puppy, he's with me at every interview and every Reiki. He's like,
You know what's really funny? My cats, when I used to do healing work, hands-on healing work, like all the time, would actually, if I didn't let them in the room, they'd be scratching. So I always had to ask, you know, I finally had to pre-warn people that this is not an allergy-free healing center. And they would actually scratch at the door if I didn't finally let them in the room. They would actually go underneath the healing table.
oh,
And that's where they would sit the entire time.
yeah.
And there were certain people that had issues around, like specifically around their heart chakra. They would actually climb onto the table and sit on their heart chakra.
Wow. Wow.
Like they knew.
No, they
It was really funny. So finally, I'd have to, like, seriously, one of them I would actually have to, I finally had to train them that, you know, that was not okay. I would allow them to be under the table. But they knew if they climbed, if they jumped on the table, that they'd be booed out of the room. So they finally settled for being, I'd have to put one of the big rose quartz underneath the table, and then just a regular big quartz on either end of the tables, and they would sit right, like curl around the rose quartz.
Wow.
Yeah. They knew though.
I would say they feel energy, I think,
Oh,
much
yes,
more
they
than
do.
we do. So for
Yeah,
me,
they do.
I cannot do any energy work in my home, and that's why I leave sometimes without Sterling being a part of it. So angel readings, he will sit on the cards, like as I lay them out.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately he will break through the door and come in. That now I'm just like, okay, you can be here. But I
Oh,
realize
yeah. They can so feel it, and especially they can feel the presences around. That's why they bark.
Yeah.
And that's why they bark and they meow. My other cat would sleep right on my throat chakra, and he would literally start to pull the energy. And that's what they, you know, they can breathe. They breathe with me. They actually learn certain things to actually do. It was really funny. So I was like, okay, you can sit here for a little while. And they actually learned to butt my hand because I knew where the energy was coming when they do, you know, the hands on. So my one cat would actually nudge my hand, and so would my dogs, by the way. They'd butt my hand, saying, okay, Mom, time for energy healing for me. So they knew certain times I would allow them to do that, so they'd get their little Reiki sessions. And then they, you know, but they would just keep on butting my hand until they got their time. You know, it wasn't about petting. It was specifically they wanted their Reiki time.
Yeah.
And if they didn't get it, they would just continually butt my hand until they got it.
How funny.
Oh my God. So, well, you gotta bring your dog on camera.
If you'd like, he is sitting on his little papasan, so I can.
Yeah, bring him over.
Say hi.
Oh, hi, sweetie. What's your name?
His name's Sterling.
Hi, Sterling. Sterling. Hi, Sterling. We've had all sorts of animals on this show.
Yeah.
Hi, Sterling.
He's a good boy.
We've had babies. We've had cats. We've had puppies.
Mm-hmm. Well, everything's energy, right? And so
exactly. We've had plants.
nice. I've done an experiment with that, so you hear of everything's energy, and so I did speaking to plants just to see how it would work. So I had 2 hibiscus out in the backyard, and they weren't doing so well because we had a freeze. And so I began speaking really loving and positive words and saying, I'm grateful, you're beautiful, I can't wait to see your blooms again, and not so positive words to the other plant, and watched, just immediately the shift and the difference in them growing. So then I had to go back and extra love the plant that I almost killed, but it was so cool to see it and watch it happening, and it's just like that for us. So the idea of why should we speak words of gratitude every day, it affects our body. It affects every molecule and cell of our being. And so if we can watch that happen externally, it's happening internally to us too.
Oh my God, and that's the thing I constantly tell them, is like the internal negative self-talk is so horrific for us.
It
and
is.
it's that constant reaffirmation of you are, not any good, you are bad, you are this, you are fat, you are ugly. It's like we don't realize what we're doing to ourselves. Instead of saying, you're beautiful, you're loving, you're appreciated, you are loved. And I tell my male clients that too. I think it is so sad that society has gotten to, and I say this is generalization, and yes, this is my own personal opinion, that men do not hear enough that they are beautiful. What is so wrong about saying to a man that they're beautiful? Men are beautiful. just as much as a woman is beautiful.
Absolutely.
Men do need to hear that they're loved, that they are appreciated, and that they are beautiful. And they don't hear that enough.
What's funny that you say that. I incorporate it in my Reiki. So with every session I do, we do affirmations. I do a mini angel reading, but it is while you're working on their chakras, I have them repeat after me the affirmations that will come for each person. And it's almost always, I am worthy, I am beautiful, or like the cores. And then everything else shifts because we all forget like how amazing and magnificent we each are. We think that of everyone else, but for our own selves, we think, well, I'm not this, I don't look like this person, I haven't accomplished this goal, and compare, rather than remembering how magnificent we each are. Exactly.
Exactly. I think it's especially important for men because women hear that they're beautiful, because we're females. But I really think that men do not hear that enough. Yes, we tell men, I love you, honey. Yes, I appreciate you because, whether it be that they're bringing home, that they work and maybe the wife's home, and now women do work too, so it's usually two income households. The men do not hear that they're beautiful enough. They just don't. And I think I think we all are beautiful. We all are beautiful. We all need to hear that though.
Yes, we all want to be loved and appreciated.
Exactly.
That's the truth.
So. I just think it's everybody needs to hear that. Everybody. And imagine from the time we're a baby, if we all grew up that way. From the time a child's born, they're hearing every single day, you are loved, you are appreciated, you're beautiful, you're worth. I mean, just imagine growing up like that. And kindergarten. Imagine if kids from the time they're in kindergarten are learning affirmations like that. I am powerful. I am beautiful. I am loved. I am worthy. I'm, just having all those affirmations. And that is not just learning the ABCs, okay? But learning positive affirmations, learning gratitude from the time they're in kindergarten. Imagine what powerful little human beings we would have.
Absolutely. It would be a very different world.
Oh, my God. With having self-esteem from the time they're in kindergarten.
Beautiful.
Especially if they're not getting it home, at least they'd be getting it in school.
It's true. And we can hold that.
So that'd be so beautiful. By the way, I'm in love with that dragonfly behind your head because I love dragonflies. They follow me everywhere.
They're my totem. So funny.
They're mine too. They're one of my totems too.
So yeah, I always have a dragonfly on. My whole Gratitude jewelry line is of dragonflies. It's on my logo. So small world, but yes, he's my...
Yeah, my first one is dragonfly. My second one is butterfly. So I have butterflies everywhere. My logo has a butterfly on it because my primary totem is butterflies. My second one is dragonflies. However, dragonflies follow me everywhere. I could be in my car on the thruway, and they literally fly in front of my windshield on the thruway.
Yeah.
They'll follow me on the beach. No matter where I walk, they're following me. My friends are going, why are dragonflies following us? I'm like, oh, it's just a thing. And they'll freak out when I'm driving with me because they'll be like, a dragonfly just flew in front of the windshield. I go, yeah, I know.
Well, it becomes normal now, but in the beginning I used to shoo at them and think, they were just bugs bothering me. We went up to Sedona, and I did a 7-day retreat up there, and I didn't just have one. I literally would have swarms, so 20 would follow us every time I'd go in and out of every building, every break, and finally the instructor said, I'm thinking they could be your thing, because they always follow you. There's like a class of 200 people, and I'm like surrounded by dragonflies. And I thought, well, I'll look up the terminology of this, and I went, oh, well, it totally makes sense. It's an alignment with both of our purpose and our passion is about transformation and creation and consciously creating and believing our thoughts and our actions create our world.
Do you know what your number is? Do you know what your numerology number is?
5.
So is mine.
It's all about
my birth is so my name is a 5. Okay. My birth name was a 5, and when I changed my name, not knowing, it's also a 5.
How cool.
So I saw my birth name was a 5, and when I changed my name without even looking up the numbers or anything, my friend goes, I hate to tell you this, but you changed your name, and when you changed your name, you changed it legally. By the way, honey, it's a 5.
Wow.
You just lost the transformations.
Yes.
She goes, and you were attempting to get away from the old name. It's a 5. I'm like, Oh, okay. She goes,
Very,
and butterflies, transformations.
yeah, yeah,
So yeah, it's a 5.
very cool.
I figured when you said that, I go, your number has to be 5.
Mhm. Well,
I
and it
love
makes
it.
sense with the work we do, right? We're all about,
Exactly. It's all about transformations and change.
right. I get bored doing the same thing over and over, so I need to have different events and things coming on. I love to travel, which is all about the 5. So, I mean, it's so in alignment when you really look at it that you go, of course, thank you for that guidance.
Like, thank you, universe. And then people go, and I know I love the biggest one about this. People, I mean, there are people that are into, how you explain this, the guidance about what you do for work. And like, you can't do all those things well. There's no way you can be that person who can do all those things well. And then I get interviewed for your job, and they're like, oh my God, you can actually do all those skills well. And they interview grilling me, like, there's no way you can be good at all these things. And I'm like, you can't make me choose one thing. You might as well just put a knife in my heart. Because, again, if you're a 5, you're all about transformations and change. And when you're a life coach and do what we do, we have to be skilled at all those things. You
Yeah.
can't not be a coach or a consultant and not be good at business,
Mhm.
at energy healing, at these different things that we do, because we have to be able to coach on all these different things. So you have to be massively skilled at all these different things to do what we do, right? They're like, no, there's no way you can do all those things. You have to pick one little niche. I'm like, you kidding me? You can't ask me to pick one little niche. You can't just tell me I have to do my video shows, that I can't be good at social media, that I can't teach about social media, and I can't teach about business consulting, and I can't. It's like and I can't be an author. That I can't. It's like you might as well just telling me, huh?
Well, and for other people, that may be truth, and that's okay.
Yeah,
But
I absolutely agree with that. But you can't. You might as well just be basically telling me go put my head under a pillow.
right, and to know that that's what works for you is what's perfect, right? We're all
Right.
Some people need to know exactly what they're doing every day, day in, day out. They do the same thing, and that's perfect for them. And so that's the beauty is there's something perfect for each of us when we really step into our purpose and know why we're here.
Absolutely, I have no qualms with that. But if you're number 5,
Yep.
that's really, really hard.
Right. So fives, that's not our truth, right?
No, no. I love the fact that I mean, like, I love that. Like, then I saw that dragonfly, I was like, I think she's a 5.
Yeah.
Yay! Another 5. I love it.
Right.
So I know we're going to be closing here because I know you have some place you have to be, and it's just been so amazing having you on. And we're going to do this again when you have more time. So I'd love for you to share once again, where people can find you, since this is also a podcast.
Thank you. So my website is www.thegratitudegirl.com. And if you go on that site at the upper right-hand corner of the front page, you can actually get a free mini gratitude journal. It's an ebook called 7 Steps to Stay Centered in Gratitude. It's a mouthful. But it's really practical tips in a 30-day gratitude journal, just as a gift for you to stay connected. I'm also on Facebook as The Gratitude Girl and Twitter as The Gratitude Girl. So easy to find.
And also, please share with us the names of your 2 books again.
Yes. So the one that's out already is What Are You Grateful For Today? And the one that's coming out in January is Consciously Creating Your Life.
And what would you say, I'd like to share at least 3 more powerful tips on how to start being in gratitude starting now.
Okay. So one of my favorite things to do with my clients is to have them do a self-love or self-gratitude experience. And so I actually learned this from Jack Canfield, who's one of my mentors and had the great joy of working with for 3 years. And he actually invites you to take all your clothes off, so do this by yourself, but literally to start being grateful for and to love yourself, flaws and all. So most of us have an area of our body that we're not so thrilled about, and often we think, well, we don't like this, we don't want to look at it. So either we just pretend it doesn't exist and we throw our clothes on really quick, or we never really address it. What if we could begin to reframe that block and say, well, what if, yes, my stomach is a little larger than I'd like it to be, but what if that stomach carried a baby? What if that stomach, if you didn't have it, you couldn't walk, you couldn't stand, you couldn't move, because it gives you the support, it's the core of your being. So what if you can begin to see your stomach a little differently in its imperfections and all? So often we think it just, well, we'll love it when it's perfect. We'll love it when I weigh 120 pounds. Well, that's ridiculous. You can love it today. So I would encourage you and invite you all to do a 30-day self-love and self-gratitude experience. And that's done every day, either when you get out of your shower or before you go to bed at night. And if you can do both, that would be great too. And then I invite you to start sharing your gratitude with the people you love. So the best way to do this, I believe, is to write letters, to write a handwritten letter to 3 people who have blessed and impacted your life. Could be a teacher, a mentor, a reverend, a friend, a parent, and tell them all the ways they've blessed your life. It will deepen your connection. It will bless you as you're writing it for sure. And it will bless that person for the rest of their life, because most of us will keep those little notes forever and be reminded that we really are loved and appreciated. Because at the core of our being, we all just want to be loved and appreciated. And the third tip would be, let me think of a good one. When you're driving. So when you're driving, sometimes we can get a little anxious or frantic if someone cuts us off in traffic or we have to come to a red light. What if we could reframe that to be a time of gratitude? So I like to call it the Red Light Gratitude Challenge. So every time you're at a red light, I invite you to start thinking of things you're grateful for. It's usually about a 30-second light that we're there, and we all get all freaked out that we hit lights. What if we could begin to take that time to be grateful for the things around us, for our own lives, for our experiences, for our opportunities to grow, and shift that time into a time of gratitude? And it'd be a practical tip that you can do each day, just while you're driving.
Beautiful.
Thanks.
So thank you so much for joining me. And for everyone out there, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us. And for today, it is good night. And as usual, I love feedback, so please be sure to leave us some. And as usual, I put together a beautiful page which will have the embedded podcast as well as the embedded video. And you've been with your host, Carly Alyssa Thorne, and you can find me at www.carlyalysathorne.com. And I look forward to sharing some more time with you next week. And we are leaving you for today. So thank you so much for joining me once again. It's been beautiful having you, the Miss Wonderful Gratitude Girl.
Thank you for having me.
Elizabeth Hartigan. Has been absolutely wonderful having you. So for today, it is good night to everyone.